Good morning, good night, good evening, good afternoon, good day. This is the Lambda log back at it for me recording this on Monday morning. This is normally when I record Fridays. Shout out Sandridge. But I'm going to be doing Thursday and Friday since Thursday was hardly anything at all. Yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. So, Thursday, week 2, day 4, the 22nd of January. Um, I had one little quick thing at school, but I still wasn't feeling well, so I asked if I could skip warm up because I wasn't called in for rehearsal yet. So I slept in. I got to school around like 10, did some work, um, did off me script, dum ba bum, and then did all my parsing. So my this is how I set it up. So I have my script here, and then I print it off on the left side. And then this is where I've done my parsing. So I write in my own words and understanding what all the lines say that my character is present for. So not just my character's lines, but all of that. And then I leave room to do more notes and stuff, which I haven't done yet. And then I have a nice working script with all that information. So I worked on that and did that in the library. And then I had a voice training, a voice meeting with Tamsin, who is our voice representative on Tispedicious Horror. And we talked about all of the shared lines because Giovanni has a ton of shared lines, especially with Annabella. So we talked about that psychology and the theology of Giovanni since he's so focused on almost better fate being the overarching power. And then I worked on my scenes a little bit in the library and I walked home. And that was Thursday. So back to the Lambda log for Friday, the 23rd of January. Um, we jumped right in. And this was my first full Friday because I had University Challenge last week. So there was no warm up. We just jumped right in with ensemble singing. We had a little warm up. We sang I Know a Girl That You Don't Know, Little Liza Jane. I know a girl that Little Liza Jane. I'm an out of Baltimore, Little Liza Jane. Oh, Eliza, little Liza Jane. Oh, Eliza, little Liza Jane. And then we sing another one that I've been to Boston, I've been to Dover, I sailed this whole world all over, 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 3 times over. Drink what you gotta drink and turn the bottle over. Sailing east, sailing west, sailing over the ocean. Be careful of the wind. Na 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 when the wind begins to blow, or you'll lose yourself in the ocean. And then we had those two, which I know wasn't great, but we had those two melodies, and we played with um well, I'll get to that. So if James were auditioning us, he said there was a clarity of of those um that like got it, and there's a clarity in the way that they're speaking it and understanding it. And so strive to have that clarity. And it's in our interest to learn how to do this process quickly, how to learn music quickly, because the quicker we can learn, the more efficient and effective we can be in an audition space and in a rehearsal space. Know and to work for yourself to be successful. Remember, like find out what processes work for you. don't take yourself too seriously either. If you're straining or trying too hard, it's not going to come out natural. It's not going to be good. So then he introduced the idea of a secret soundtrack, meaning we performed Little Liza Jane as if we were performing I've Been to Boston, I've Been to Dover. So I know a girl that you don't know, Little Liza Jane. Talking about like I've been to Boston, I've been to Dover, I've searched, I've something this whole world all over, over 3 times over. Drink what you gotta drink to turn the bottle over. Sailing east, sailing west. Anyway, um, and then we switched and we sang "I've been to Boston, I've been to Dover" with the idea of Little Jane. Um, and then we did it as if Jane was like a scorn, like an awful lover, like an ex-girlfriend or something. We're just like, oh, she's the worst. But we sang, "I've been to Boston, I've been to Dover, I have searched this world. What is it? I don't remember the verb. But one of the most powerful things about theater is seeing what is going on behind the words, right? In musical theater, you have to express a single fleeting thought sometimes in a full 3-minute song. So you need to communicate your secret song with your whole self. And then we broke out into groups and we're creating, having 2 songs, just like pop songs to tell a classical scene. So we're gonna do "As You Like It" with "Poker Face" by Lady Gaga and "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." We'll see how it goes. We're gonna work on it next week. Um, and we'll do it in 2 weeks. So then we had screen acting with Gary. Gary, what was his name? I'll pull it up. Gary is delightful. He is a wonderful man, and I'm glad to have met him. And I'm glad he's our teacher. He's really just personable, kind of humble guy. Great, but um, one of the things we talked about is because we're looking for um a scene, like what should we call it? A sci-fi scene that we'll be working on. Gary Pillai, Pillai. Anyway, so you can combine 2 scenes as long as they make narrative sense, and we can change things within reason, right? Change gender, change location, etc. We don't have to maintain cities or other things. We're going to read through some scripts brought to get a better idea of what to do. Um, then we'll get up and work on some nonverbal acting. We did that. So one of the students brought an X-Files scene, like the introduction of Mulder and Scully, and they read through it the first time, and there wasn't a lot of conflict written in. There is a shift about asking about aliens when you bring in that context, but there's not enough as as written to make it work. So you have to kind of create that artificially, which is totally fine. Just like as an audition piece or as a scene. One character has a super objective and then the other has to compromise. That gives it that conflict. But it's important to find or make conflict in the scene. Changing the names and ignoring the stage directions are great because with with X-Files it's um so known, and so you're going to be compared to that and focused on that the whole time. So instead you want to change the names and kind of take it out of the context of the show. That being said, also, yeah, so they read through it once and it seemed a little more theatrical, a little more kind of like um playing the characters, and then they read it through a couple more times, kind of bringing it down and finding themselves in it. Um, I struggle because when I'm watching something live, I want to see more at times. And so but I know that I think the other one would work better on screen. I think, but I just don't know if my taste is good with with film acting. So we'll see. Or screen acting. You have to visualize your set, and it has to be like the one you can actually film on. So know your limitations, right? And then hammer in the given circumstances. We need to forget the show and make the text our own, not a version of the show, just the given circumstances and the words. Um, we decided to cut the scene at "Do you believe in extraterrestrials?" because then it's interesting and it has some more conflict and potential to it. It becomes more interesting because we don't know what's going to happen. And then focusing on the relationship and the fact that they're strangers meeting for the first time. And when you're meeting someone for the first time, you really try to take them in and you're trying to take your time and like seeing, can I trust this person? How much can I say? And then the same will become quite technical. The scene will become quite technical when you speed it up and when you take them in, because screen acting is very technical. It's like you have to hit your mark and you have to make sure the lighting is right and everything. So like I'd have to come in here, so I'm at the right angle for it, and the shot is all lined up. Whereas you have a lot more flexibility in stage work. Um, so it's better to play within your type in this class, um, just to know, right, what are you castable as and play within that and lean into that so that you can break it later, but you can do what you do well first. Hope that makes sense. Like type. Um, and then the scene doesn't matter that much. You know, the actor matters. I just need to bring myself to it. And then bring whatever scenes will make it work. And then I paired up with someone and we looked and were looked at. And so we stood and we started just like looking at each other's eyes. And then he said, "Now look at their hands." And then you look at their hands and then you look back up and then at their hands again and then back up. And then look at their feet. So you look at their feet, back up, their feet, back up. Look at their forehead, look at their ear, look at look at their heart, look at their soul. Um, and that was kind of the idea of just being able to be seen and seeing someone and trying to look at them. And then we switched. And the camera picks up so much and we don't have to do a lot, right? A glance shows so much. So like even looking down and up, the camera will pick that up, right? Your eyes are so expressive and right, I don't have to pull faces or gurn at all. And then what is going on behind the eyes, right? What is the thought and how do you portray that? So much just having the thought and then it's portrayed. But be in the moment, don't push anything. Let everything come from the scene partner. And then I was saying that I need more experience to be able to marry what works on screen to how it looks in person. Like I was saying before, I kind of like the overly expressive one. Um, right? And things can be so dynamic without doing anything. Right? It's like Stanislavski sitting in a chair. Compromise isn't weakening yourself, it's becoming vulnerable and open. Then we need to look for the old man in us to be observant and present, that kind of guy who just puts his hands behind his back and looks at a tree for 10 minutes. You know, find that person in you. Um, of course, it will work. Um, of course, it will work if I am silently observing, right? That's where the reality comes. And you don't have to Oh, you don't have control over the lines. It can be a poorly written script, and you just say the lines and be truthful as possible. And that's what we're able to do, right? And so you can do a good scene with bad lines in essence, and you can bring truth to it. Um, and there's a saying from, I think it was Cheers. Yeah, Cheers, where this guest star or one of the leads got the line. They're like, "Ooh, my character wouldn't say that." And then they got all the other characters out, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think your character would say that." And then they used to have like the producers um, looking over on like a box, and they came down. And it's like, "Yeah, my character wouldn't say this." And he's like, "Let me see." And he looks at it. He's like, "Oh, I see what you mean, but they do say it because it's written." Right, so it's the actor's job to justify it and to say it, um, because people are complicated and could and would do almost anything, right? So then we did an activity where we in the room we had there's some stairs. I'm in Weston Hall. So there's a little storage loft, and then there's stairs down it, and then there's the classroom. So we walked down the stairs, we sat in the chair, and we left. And that was it. And we did it the first time, and there's no really rules or assignment. You just walked down the stairs, you sat down, and you got up. But there was no fourth wall, so you could look at and connect with the audience, right? So we did that. There was a couple of funny ones. Um, One student made eye contact with me as he like didn't go over the seat, like he was gonna go over the back and then was gonna sit down and then spread his legs wide, and he was like barely touched the seat and went out. Then someone else like knocked on the door, like at the top of the stairs, like it was a ding dong ditch kind of situation. And they hurried down the stairs and they're like, "Oh, I'm cool, I'm cool." They sat down, looked around, they're like, "Shh," and they left. And then the second time we did it, we were to do it as if we were alone. There is nobody else in the room, and so that one was a lot more slower and contemplative. And I don't feel rushed, so I felt like I sat there for a minute. I just kind of thought. I didn't really make up a story or anything to follow along. I just kind of was there in the moment by myself. And the second time was much more compelling, right? The performance makes it kind of fake in a sense, or an addition to it when just being is much more interesting. Then we are naturally interesting as human beings. Trust yourself, and trust in yourself being enough. Right, neither was better, but the second was a stronger starting point. Less is more. Start with you. Don't put anything on top. You are interesting enough as yourself. Then we had practical voice with Tamsin. Well, we had lunch, and then we had practical voice with Tamsin. And we started with a sound and a gesture, and then the opposite, because I think we were all kind of like low energy, and we're like, "Mm." So we're like, yeah, our opposite, and that kind of helped bring up the energy. And then we did our own individual 10-minute warm up. We walked the space, saying words to see the difference of how we felt after the warm up. And then Tamsin led us in an exercise, and we did hips and tongue, and we did some stretches, and we did what we do a lot of the time. And then we did the oh kind of thing as you're opening your box. We didn't define what was in the box or describe it this time. Um, and and then we did it to different people. We did bubbling with our big old bubble straw. I don't know if I showed it last time. Bubble straw. It smells awful. Well, it just smells like chemical rubber carcinogen, so it says. And the secret of bubbling is you want to make sure you have good posture and you're not coming down to meet the straw, but the straw is coming to you. You have a good bit of it in your mouth and your lips are loose. Let me see if I have enough in here. Let me see if I can do it because I only feel it. I never really watch myself. I feel like I might make a mess. This is gonna be fun. Um, but the idea, you want a big straw, make a mess. Um, but the idea is that your cheeks are really loose and it just kind of relaxes everything in your vocal tract. I don't know if you can see that. It feels like my cheeks are moving, but maybe I'm not doing it very well. Um, so we did a lot of bubbling. Took our time with that, and then we laid down on the ground and we put our hands on our belly, um, and then let out with a, and then on our chests, and then on our mouth, and had that kind of spread. And then we were semi-supine with our knees up. And on a hum or a Z, we lifted one leg slightly. And this was engaging your transverse abdominal muscles. And so not trying to push down too much on your other knee. So it's very slightly. You're just on your back, your knees are up, and you go hum hum. Then you can switch. It doesn't really matter. But that's kind of engaging those transverse abdominal muscles, which holds everything in. And then we looked at the anatomical models of the throat, the epiglottis, and the hyoid bone through like to the bottom of the trachea. So this whole section. Um, and the hyoid hyoid, hyoid bone connects to the tongue root. So this whole like thing right here, that's your tongue root. It's the bottom of your tongue, and then it connects up here to your hyoid bone. And then we referred to other things in the anatomy of the voice. It was chill. And then we had scene study with Philippe. This was a wonderful class. So we played Bish Bash Bosh, which you go in a circle, and there are four questions that Philippe could ask you. It's what are you doing? And then you have to say what you're doing with an action. It's like, oh, I'm running a mile. Name, Zion. Name, Zion. What are you doing? I'm running a mile. And you had to do an action and say it, and it had to be different than what someone else had done in that round. And then color, and then bish bash. If he says color, you just name a color. Blue, orange, magenta, whatever. If he says bish bash, you say bosh. So bish bash, bosh. Um, Most people, I think everybody got out during the what are you doing? Because you just are like, I'm sitting down. Because if you hesitate, you're out. And then when somebody gets out, then the round starts over and you can say the same things again. But then you started adding tube stops, which was a fun little thing. Um, but yeah. Oh, and before that, we did a name and an action of how we are feeling. So similar to what we did in Tamsin's class, but a little different. And then we jumped into it. And acting is simply listening and doing. And then two people started with a repetition. And then two others went up. And as seen as Philippe asked, oh, as soon as Philippe asked, like, what are you doing? Do it. Like they know. And so, right, we're sitting in the repetition, same situation as last week. We were in a small class. We had chairs on either side, and they're facing each other. And it's like, what do you want to do right now? What do you want to do? Do it, do it, do it. And then you just do something, and there's an instinctual thing that makes sense. Um, And now, like, the idea is to not wait for him to say it, just do it. And then, what is your partner doing? How does it make me feel? So, what is my partner doing? How does it make me feel? And what does it make me want to do? That's kind of your base. And then two others went up, and it became very tender and lovely, and like ended in a hug. And a lot of times we make things very confrontational and aggressive, and that one was sweet. And then I went with someone, and I was trying to work on the opinion part of this. So during it, I said, "You're pathetic," um, which really kind of influenced that moment. But you can change in the moment. There's a difference between, does that say squashing? Oh, there's a difference between squashing your truth and expressing it, right? Just whatever in that moment is true, right? The moment is the master. And then if you want to play freely, don't overstuff your rucksack. Meaning, like play and live in the moment. If think of your rucksack like a backpack or a hobo back or whatever, and if you're thinking about all of the details of their past and everything, then sometimes you've overstuffed your rucksack, and it paralyzes you because you have to remember everything. It's like, oh, because when I was 12, I tripped and my mother yelled at me, and that's traumatized me. And instead of just being able to be in the moment. Um, Acting is investing in the action of doing, right? I like that. I think I wrote it a couple times. And then two others went and oh, is a great clear points of view. Don't be polite. Polite is crap. You can't help your partner. You can't help your heart partner by being polite. Um, be the sorry. Oh, be the baby in the wardrobe. So it talked about like a hurricane. I think it's actually supposed to be a tornado, but that's fine. But we're a baby because they're super relaxed and they're just what they are. Um, Survived, like picked up by a tornado or a hurricane because they were relaxed. And so be the baby in the hurricane, and then you can survive. Then two others went, and this one was fun and interesting because one of the sayings was, "You're hot." It's like, yeah, I'm hot. You're hot. Yeah, I'm hot. And then I was like, ooh, you. It's like, I think you're hot. Or you think I'm hot. It's like, ooh, you think I'm hot. And it was just this fun, um, different energy and different kind of river in that one. And then, is it alive? Does it does it bring us alive, right? Or does it bore us? And that's what we should be asking. If not, let's bring it. We can surrender to our performance being dependent, whatever that means. I got to write clearer. Two others went. It was fun. Then two others went. Everybody went up at one point. And then you're very police sheriff was a fun phrase that came out of that one. And then, oh, and then it pushed. This one, Philippe went up with a student because there wasn't someone else to do it. And then I said that she was very police sheriff. And then um, she got up to leave and she was done. And then that's what I saw. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's the observation. It's true to the character and true to the moment. And then acting is investing in the reality of doing. If we are doing something, the audience and our bodies will believe us. The doing creates belief. Um, and we want to experience, not conjure or pretend. Then we did the line exercise, and two went up, and the lines that were created during the repetition was, "Will you love me forever? I mean, not forever. What? That's just not how it works." Um, and so then that bled into a scene, which was this breakup kind of scene. I don't know. It was this emotional moment. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Am I? That was lovely. As you can tell, I'm totally better. Healthy boy. So, actions. Wait. Use transactive actions to send to your scene partner. So after the lines, they asked, Philippe asked them, what is like your goal? What do you want? And then what is your state of perfection? So how do you know that you've received that goal or that you've gotten what you want? What do you want? And then your state of perfection is knowing that you got it. So that's what you're fighting for. Action should be simple and playable regardless of the complexity of the text, right? State of perfection. What is the goal? And if you don't get that, it's a failure. As actors, we always play for the win. Go for it like a rabid dog. Instill in yourself a hunger to catch the first opportunity to start. They started with repetition, they went into the lines, and the river breaks its banks and pulls us in when it's good. Um, in future classes, we're going to explore hitting marks like emotional marks. Um, because as they learn the lines, it's Philippe starts repeating them first. It's "Will you love me forever? Will you love me forever? I mean, not forever. I mean, not forever. What? What? That's just not how it works. That's just not how it works." And then they repeated it until they had it good enough to just repeat it between themselves. And then what you can do is add um, a mark like, "I mean, not forever. I cry. What?" And then you just like say that. I don't know. We haven't done it yet, but um, they have actions to get reassurance to and to slow things down. I don't know what that means. They will add their own words at the end, um, just like to continue the scene. And we can do this and transcribe it and have a scene, then ask what happened before and after, and then voila, we have a whole play. A unit is a stable event of motion, right? It always needs to be subject to the moment. In Miser, we practice with a partner enough to get used to it and to recognize how it feels. But this is just a practice. We don't have to do these repetitions. We don't have to do these other things. This is just our practice, right? If we do if we do concrete action in a fictional world, it makes the fictional world concrete. It's a Philippe original. Then two more went, and their scene after they did repetition, the scene that came up was, "Back then, did you love me?" "Of course I did." "Why didn't you say?" "For the same reason you didn't." And then it became a whole scene, right? To reach out and rekindle was the action. And to win, she will reach out. The her scene partner will reach out and reconnect. And then the other person said that her goal was to draw the line, and she'll know when she walks away. Um, so that's your state of perfection. And then how to land. Oh, how to land in a physical mark is you take it in blankly the same as a line. She'll breathe in before the first line. So as she was repeating it, she says, "I breathe in. Back then, did you love me?" "Of course I did." "Why didn't you say?" for the same reason you didn't. I breathe in. Back then back then did you love me? Of course I did. Why didn't you say? For the same reason you didn't. I breathe in. Back then did you love me? And you do that repetition until it's like set. And then there is zero pressure for a physical or emotional mark to happen. You just continue with the lines. Then I went with another student, and and it was cool. I had a little moment where I stood up for my morals, um, because within the repetition, my scene partner said a word I didn't want to say, and he said, "You're a blank," and I said, "I don't want to say that." Um, and then we just moved on. It was fine. It continued the scene. I think it was. I don't know. I could have handled it better. This was a clearer way of how I feel, um, which I think is good to communicate that. But I could have just not repeated that and moved on to another observation, which would have helped keep us in the moment. But then the scene that was written because it was antagonistic was our text was, I know about you and Jenny. That was me. What? I know you're effing my wife was the original line. BS was his line set out. And then I said, I know. And so I asked, "Ooh, I can we change that word? I don't swear." And so we changed it to I know you're sleeping with my wife. Um, but I gotta stand up for myself a little bit, and it was hard going into the improv afterwards because I started thinking about like rules of improvisation, and he called me James. I was like, oh, I should give him the gift of a name, and I should do this or that. And it didn't flow, and he was giving great information, and I was like, oh, it's been a minute since I've done like improv. And so that wasn't my favorite, just of my own part. I wish I did it better, but it ended with he was making up all these excuses. He's like, what, I couldn't have done this? What do you think, I'm doing this at my work? And I work on Saturday and I do these things. And I was just like, she told me. And then it ended because what's oh no, I said she told me. He's like, what did she say? Um, yeah. And I think it might have been the weakest of the scenes. I don't know. I didn't feel in it. But anyway, then two others went and one of the students wrote it, which was fun. And the lines were, you've been watching me. Maybe I have. I don't mind. I know you wouldn't. Come here. Ooh, spicy. Interesting. And then they added a physical gesture of, you've been watching me. I bite my lip. Maybe I have. I don't mind. I know you wouldn't. Come here. And then repetition until it was in. And then it came into this very flirtatious but like complication. It's this pull, this um it just wasn't immediate, right? Because that's written in a way that it feels like, okay, we're gonna make things happen. But um right. So the person who wrote it gave them their actions, their what they're trying to accomplish, their objective, and then in a night, in a word, or intention. Um, and then if you're stuck, you can reverse engineer the actions, um, by reverse engineering the outcome and see like what you want and how would you get that. Um, so demanding a kiss and resist was what we went with. And then mine with my scene partner was to unnerve, and I can't remember his was to like get me to not know or something. I don't remember. Um, but then their scene went in a way that I was like, it's like that's your move. It's like, was it not a good move? you could try harder, and I think that's how it ended, and that was fun. And then you don't want to force dynamics, but you can be flexible and malleable, right? It has nothing to do with the repetition. It's all on you. It's all about you, not on you. It's all you. The repetition is just an exercise, right? When it's most scary, that's when you go, right? That's when you feel that impulse. And then two more went, and then somebody wrote their little scene, and it went as follows. What are you doing here? I thought you guys broke up. We did. Oh. And then that scene turned into the guy uh advocating for his friend. And he's like, "Oh, he made a little shrine for you," which was funny because that's what all people want to hear. Just kidding. And that was the end of it. My last thing is people are crushing their dreams and avoiding, oh, which is a general thing. People are chasing their dreams and avoiding their nightmares. So that's what as characters and people were doing. And that was Thursday and Friday. Um, Now I'm back on track and I'm not gonna get sick anymore and I'm gonna be super healthy because I am super healthy and life is great and we're doing it. Love y'all. Bye.